Wanted to briefly go over the market and what I see here and what we have looming below here on SPY. Let's get rid of all these indicators that are messing the chart up. If you take a look, we have a gap right there, which is a gap down to 585. So until we fill that gap, I'm not comfortable going long on anything. We have, I hate how it smashes the charts here. Stretch this thing out. There we go. Stretch it out. We have a gap fill right here to the 100. Well, gap fill to 585, but there's the 100 is right here. We could, if you look over here, it kept teasing us with the election gap when Trump got in, and we ripped. It almost, I thought we were going to fill it there. I thought we were going to fill it there. Then I thought we were going to fill it there. And then we finally filled it. I was making a lower high each time. And then we broke out of that and went bull. And I really thought we were going to pass all this or come down here, bounce, and go up. Didn't happen with the bad numbers. Back to back, two bad number reports in a row. Then we had, it was Friday expirations. So this thing was at the top here. We were just set up to go. Two candles on the inside of a bearish candle at the top up there. That's actually a bullish candle. Yeah, so we got the 100 right here. A scenario that would probably play out is we're going to bounce off the 100, then fill the gap. I don't ever see us going below anchor VWAP. Unless something horrible happened. But you guys got to keep in mind, I wrote an article in 2024 in October. It doesn't matter who gets in office, right? Inflation has not been dealt with last presidency. The government was spending more money than it brought in, inflationary. And then on top of that, you had the yield curve uninverting. Every time that happens, I think it's 95% of the time that's happened, or 9.5 because it hasn't happened 100 times. My buddy was arguing with me because every time that's happened, we've went into a recession or the market's fallen pretty badly. He was telling me he was looking at the data and it was 95%, but I don't know where he's getting 95% from because you would have had 100 instances and judged it that way. So, but anyways. Let's take a look at some of the crypto as well. SPY, I don't like it up here. I'm going to fix my light here. Forgive me, guys. Get that fixed here. My bootleg YouTube setup. But anyways, I don't feel comfortable going long on anything. We're probably going to have a bounce, sure. But again, until that gap's filled. Because before I get off this, we're going to shoot over to Bitcoin here in a minute. Before I get off this, let me get this junk out of here. There we go. When we had filled the election gap over here, all right, let's go ahead and kind of, let me play with this. Forget that. Forget this. I don't have time for that. I'm making this fit right. When we had filled this election gap over here, the run-up was intense. 575 to 610. That's a lot. That's a $35 move right there. That's a whole bunch. So I'd like us to fill this gap, and then beneath there, let's go ahead and fix the chart. See if I can fix it that way. What would be real scary is if we came all the way down here, wouldn't it? That would be scary. That's a scenario that could happen. But we also have support right there. If we ended up cracking that and cracking anchored VWAP. Wish I don't see us going lower than that. Unless it's an extremely serious scenario. Sorry guys, I just woke up. BTC, USD. Let's move over to crypto. It's done. Those of you, there's people that are freaking out right now that Bitcoin is falling. When did you buy this? At what point did you buy this? Every single time. Every single time. People only buy the top. Now, the average Joe, when you start hearing them talk about it, I was hearing everyone talk about XRP when it was in the 3s, and I dumped it immediately. I was like, I'm out. You know, the founders of XRP are also dumping it. So if it's going to be the real McCoy here, then why are they selling it? They've sold 116 million over like the past month. It's like, it's not. The government may use the software for banking. You have whatever argument you have. I don't see it happening with XRP going to 10,000. There's not enough money in the world, just liquidity. You would have to take money from everyone to back that up for it going to that. It's not gonna. The arguments on it are just absolutely ridiculous. So, but I got out. I made money on that. Where did you guys buy Bitcoin? I've been babbling about it since when? October of 2023. It was at 27,000. I got in at 25. Wherever that was. I scaled in here some. After we started to tick up 32, right? 30, right there at 38, right there at 40. And that was it. I think I had added a little more over in here because I saw this obvious flag. Everyone's like, the Bitcoin halving, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's the cycle's over now, right? Look, it didn't go. And I'm like, it's forming a massive flag. Are you kidding me? It goes for 18 months after the halving. We're not even at a year. And it did work, guys. It worked. Let's take a look at this before I get into the bad part here. We were at it wicked down to 15K multiple times over in here. But 15K to 109,000. It worked. The Bitcoin halving absolutely worked. Crappy altcoins, which is what people buy instead of raw Bitcoin, you're probably down because you bought the top. But let's go back over to a daily here. We're going to look at the TA on this. Indicators up. It's done, guys. It's done. We have a massive volume gap over here. It is done. It's over. Let me remove this for now. There we are at 89. You know, I saw this on the weekly. Let's go over the weekly. We double topped, or is what people would call it on Reddit. We had a Batman, and then started to pull back. It was wicking like it was going to go up. We're on the 20 now. This is a death cross. Okay, and there's people in my Discord who are down on Bitcoin. How? It's impossible. I posted my entries for everyone. I posted Solana at $51. And I'm mainly in around 110. I've already gotten my money. I've sold. I called this at 97,000 right up in here. I said I'm out half, which means that I have my money back and some profit. I'm going to sell the rest today, probably. I'm just going to dump all of it, and I may scale back in. Whenever the S&P fills the gap, whenever Powell wants to start cutting interest rates more aggressively, we're only going to do 2 cuts this year. That's not enough to get this thing going. Because the 10 years too high, interest rates are still too high. Then I'll scale back in, and the likely scenario is we're going to have a run up, and towards the end of the year, we'll probably Powell may change course. We're in stagflation right now. Inflation was not dealt with before, and I'm hoping that it starts to be dealt with now. It's at the government level, not the Fed. The Fed can't really do it. They can sweep up the mess and kind of somewhat put out the fire, but they can't solve it. It's up to the government. I don't think people understand that. Low interest rates don't cause inflation, right? Government spending causes inflation and horrible economic policy. So you spend more than you make, that's inflationary. So, but I think I'm done with Bitcoin. I've sold out of Beto. I've sold out of I'm out of all my raw Bitcoin. I'm holding some spot ETFs. I'm dumping them pretty much right now in the pre-market. Closing out all of it. I'm finished wiping my hands off. So miners, they're not looking hot right now. So I have made my dollar cost average on those is negative with the amount of options I've sold on them over the years, the last year and a half. Coming up on You know, if I could hold out for another 6 months or so, it'd be 2 years of selling options on them. That's it. I'm finished. I'm wiping my hands clean of them. No more crypto-related stuff in my portfolio, unless it's derivatives. You know, I'm selling credit spreads or whatever. I'm not going to do that right now, though, because everything's collapsing badly. And if we fill this volume gap over here to 71, oh my gosh, even 75, that could happen like that, though, in a matter of 2 days. That's a wrap. Solana, okay. Oh, we're at 140. I didn't even see it hit this. By the time I had looked, it was already down at 248. I called in the Discord to exit right over in here, all right? I called this right here. I called this right here. I called to exit half, which gives me my initial investment back and profit up here, right? Wait, over in here. I said to sell 25%. It was actually 30. I'd sold a little bit up here, maybe 5%. Sold more here, and 25%. I sold half up here, so we're around 60% out. I announced this in the Discord, guys, and I announced it in the announcement channels that I was out Bitcoin a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I was out half of it. So everyone who's dip buying may get smoked. Now, if we had a violent drop, the MACD's open. I don't like it, and I don't like that giant volume gap on Bitcoin. We need to fill that before I'd go long. And I'm not touching any of it. Maybe I'll mess with the alts. I don't know. But I'd like to have just spot ETF, IBIT on Bitcoin. But look at the Fed. The Fed is saying don't buy Bitcoin right now. They're saying it's over. So I want to cover a couple stocks here. PLTR. We're going to be cutting our defense budget. No more war, which is a fantastic thing. We have a gap to fill. All the way down to 83. This thing's getting smoked. Now, I called this in the Discord at, where was it? Right somewhere over in here. No, it was when we had pulled back. At right around, did I call it at 7? I don't remember where it was. 21 and 24, I think, or 26 is where I called this. I got out at 70. Everyone was mad at me in the 70s. I didn't know they were going to have a monster ER. And then we had a shooting star right here, and I called it on the weekly watch list. This is the top. I was wrong by a little bit, but people are now rolling their covered calls a year out. You know, like, oh my God, it's going to keep going. And I'm like, no. Anything to do with defense or military under Trump is going down, right? Less war. So the last presidency, defense stocks, war, you know, those were great things to invest in. Not in this presidency. So, and this is going to likely fill the gap. Palantir is a fantastic company, and it's a company I'd love to own. Great company. If you look at their earnings, just look at their earnings down here. I mean, beat, back to back. It's just been a beat pretty much every time. Look at this. I don't think they've had a miss. They're just killing it, absolutely killing it. I want to pull up Google as well. We'll go over some of the top 10 in the S&P. We're on anchored VWAP. We have a little bit of a gap to fill there. Still down to 175. Amazon got me. You know, I've had back-to-back wins on my swings, and this one got me. We have a gap fill. Looks like we're going for this gap fill over here. What happened is we have this channel. 1 bounce, 2 bounce, 3 bounce, 4 bounce. Thought it was going to bounce. Got in basically off this almost hammer. Then when we closed below, I should have been out, but the following day we almost had a hammer formation, and then it's like it's too late. I should have called it right there. But we have another gap right there to 207. I nailed DKNG. That was amazing. UPS got in down in here. That was amazing. That saw 118 the other day. What else did I nail? Rumble. Rumble had a massive run up. What else? Called NVIDIA. Down in here somewhere for the gap fill, which was right here. I called it down in here, and I called the 180s for April. They went from 131 to $245, and I got out all but one. Last one's free, and it's just below entry. I may play earnings with it. I usually don't play earnings because it's dumb. It's gambling. And what else have we had recently? There's been some other stuff, but I don't want to waste any time. At the end of the day, guys, at some point you got to take your profits on crypto. Those of you getting in crypto now, you missed it. You can come back in 2027 for the next halving. Focus on Bitcoin. You can make a lot of money in the alts, but focus on Bitcoin. That's the one. That's the one. The alts may run flat for years and then have a quick pop and then drop again. They suck. They're awful. If you nail it right, you can make a lot of money, but you got to get defensive and you got to be selling on the way up. Bitcoin is the best. It's king. So until we fill this gap, I'm not going long.